Seguimos en CARICAM 2012 con la cobertura del evento que se está celebrando, como ya saben, en Puerto Rico, en la ciudad de San Juan. Estamos en el día 1 del evento con vídeo entrevistas. Nos visita Ken Osowski de la empresa Procera, que nos va a contar un poco qué hace la empresa y qué está presentando en este evento. Ken, welcome to La Semana.
Thank you very much.
So, well, tell us who Procera is, because for myself, you are not totally well known,
right.
So probably it would be a good idea for you to describe what Procera does, right, and what is your role in the telecom industry.
Sure, absolutely. We started as a deep packet inspection platform vendor with solutions associated with deep packet inspection. And deep packet inspection in the, say, 2005-2006 timeframe tended to be about cost avoidance in the network, congestion management, traffic shaping, and that's where DPI really had its use cases, its very strong use cases for customers. We sold that technology, and still do, to service providers and to higher education institutions. So that's where we came from, but really the market today has shifted, and really DPI has evolved from that humble beginning of saving costs inside the network, doing analytics, trying to figure out how to add capabilities, new CapEx, new switches to the network, to policy-based enforcement. So what happens is that we have a couple components in our platform. It's called Intelligent Policy Enforcement as a total solution, and that's the umbrella name for it. Okay. One piece does deep packet inspection, and the other piece actually interacts with the OSS and billing systems on wireless networks and fixed line networks. And that's where the policy is formulated for new services. So, for instance, the services that people are talking about today, having multiple devices in one bucket of data usage bytes, right? That's a very common one today. Traditionally, the mobile operators have moved away from, they're in a stage of moving from usage-based billing to value-based innovation and applications, where the services are completely personalized for that subscriber. Say that you're doing VoIP, or you were doing OTT video. As a normal plan, you might run over your data usage limits, but what we can do is we can track how much the user is doing in that regard, and then what we can do is we can allocate with the service provider systems, the OSS/BSS systems, another queue of accumulation of bytes, so that we could say, all right, for this subscriber, what we're going to do is we're going to give 4 hours of video usage per month over the top. Even if so it doesn't impact the allocation that was given in the original base plan.
Okay.
So that's just a simple example, but we could tier by bandwidth, we could tier by time of day, we could, the options are limitless in terms of the policies that can be created, creating services in their networks.
Okay, in terms of policy, we've seen other companies, perhaps bigger companies than Procera, at least as far as I know, that they already offer policy. What would be the differentiator? Because I have spoken with some of your teammates here, and it seems that the portion that really gives you a competitive edge as Procera would be the DPI component. Is that so?
Yeah, well, I think the DPI is a key part of it. I think the fact that there's really two ways to look at this solution. It's either integrated into a switch, a bigger switch framework, a router or an SSGN in the case of a mobile network, or it's separated as a standalone environment.
Okay.
And what happens is that when you put that technology into a switch, you are asking the DPI to do less, and it probably can do less only because it impacts the performance of that main switch.
Okay.
And so the level of policy, the level of awareness we have in terms of subscriber, location, time of day, is more than what the typical integrated solution will do, because they don't want to impact the performance of their main network, their core network elements. So a standalone function really works really well in the sense that it's totally extensible. We don't add latency to the traffic flow going through the system. And so they can add this without impacting their data flows, but get an incredible amount of awareness in terms of what the subscriber is doing in the network.
Okay.
Right.
So that means that if an operator has a Camient or Tech-Elect solution, or
PCRF,
and still they would find a compelling case of using Procera for the DPI and work those two
Absolutely, because I mean, again, we're about intelligent policy enforcement. The intelligence is creating the policies to match the new services. The enforcement aspect is taking the policy and making sure it's applied to the traffic in real time.
Okay, so that could be done through Procera or through the other company, Camient, or right?
Well, they would define the policies and integrate with the OSS and BSS systems, and we would be southbound of the PCRFs that they provide. So we would integrate and provide the policy, but we would do the enforcement. Okay, so we're the real-time enforcement capability.
Okay, I've seen your platform. Your teammates at the booth showed me a little bit the platform, and it seems like really interesting. So tell us what can you do with your platform, because I saw it and I could explain it, but probably you would be best.
Right. Okay. So there's a couple aspects to it. I mean, there's a whole range of platforms that are available to customers, right? So they can start, and it's really rated by throughput capacity in each of the platforms. So they can start as low as 5 gigabytes all the way to 320 gigabytes per second, depending on what the application is. If it's in the core of the network and it's a large network, a large number of subscribers, they would use a chassis product. If it was a deployment that was more distributed, it would use the smaller 2RU chassis. So that's the basic platform model overview.
Okay.
Now, on top of that, in terms of managing the system and how you use the system, again, we integrate with the OSS and BSS, and we're in the traffic flow, so we get spliced right into the main traffic flow. And in terms of analytics, which is the key part of this, right, because we're extracting information about what's happening in the traffic flow, there's 2 ways to get it. One is through a mechanism called Live View, which does 5-second snippets of the traffic and provides it in a dashboard to show service providers what's going on. And these are all preloaded characteristics underlying for the deep packet inspection in terms of types of applications, media flow, video, audio. We can differentiate that right out of the box.
Okay.
Right, and those are called signatures that really classify all the traffic going through. So, we're talking about being able to classify in the 90% range right out of the box all the things that they'd want to look at. Now, there may be some things that are specific to that region that they want to track that we don't already have, but that can be added very easily because it's a very extensible environment underneath.
We'll wait for you to.
So we wanted to throw away the mic.
All right, you said something interesting. You said that the first idea of policy and deep packet inspection, or the first phase, would be to save costs.
Right.
And now operators seem to be looking at this to make money, not just to save. So tell us, in this kind of two-stage environment, where are we at? Or in Latin America, or in the world, where are we at? Are still operators just trying to save money?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think that the incumbents are still at a usage-based billing model kind of scheme. And I think that, the first transition that the mobile operators are making, especially with LTE, the LTE transition is to go from, voice minute buckets to really data buckets. And in a lot of cases, the local minutes are free kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they're moving from, really monitoring minutes to monitoring usage. So that's kind of like the phase I think that we're going through now, even for the large incumbents. But I think that the competitive providers are looking for ways to develop more innovative services to compete with the incumbents. And that's where we're seeing in the tier 2, tier 3 operators, the more innovative services today.
Okay.
I think it'll ripple its way all the way up over time. It'll become the norm. I just think it's going to start there. Just as we had the presentation today from Open Mobile, they went through a long list of capabilities that they provide today for tiered services. In a lot of tiering, using a policy platform. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like ours.
Okay.
So I think it's coming. I think it's I think LTE will push it over the edge. Since you could hit the caps pretty easily at the speeds we're talking about, and services that were hard to get access to before on low bandwidth connections, such as video, are a lot easier with these high bandwidth connections.
Yeah.
And I think that with the higher bandwidth connections, you're running out of headroom very, very quickly in terms of the caps. So you really have to allocate separate buckets, and those are could be audio streaming, video streaming, whatever the bucket is, and it doesn't affect the rest of it. And of course, we can track any of that and shape it, or do anything we need to do. Understand what device the the subscriber is running on to do their OTT video downloads or streaming, and then decide what kind of resolution it goes, to that particular device based on content assessment.
Yeah, because I guess one thing is, operators, they know they have a lot of data on the network,
right?
But the important part is how do we interpret this data and then take action.
That's right.
It seems like a really difficult task.
It is a difficult task, and that's why the live view and all the historical reporting are so key to this. I mean, that stemmed early from the DPI introduction into the networks, several years ago. But what it does do, it provides the not just the network operations people important analytics about the physical aspects of their network and where they have bottlenecks, but it also provides business intelligence to the marketing staff, so they can now understand the usage profile of their subscribers, so then they could create with policy these very narrowly defined personalized services. And that's really key. I mean, so the marketing departments will play a much greater role, because before it was the engineers providing the pipe and it was a simple billing mechanism in terms of usage caps, boom, we're done.
That's it, yeah.
But now it's going to change, because you have to understand what's going on out there to address the specific subscriber needs.
So the user experience that is
it's evolving very quickly.
Needs to be
But
you need a DPI kind of solution to understand exactly.
You need the analytics provided by a DPI solution to do that. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for visiting us.
So,
it was a pleasure knowing about you, and hopefully people will visit your webpage and understand better what Procera can offer them.
We hope you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty.